DaVinci Resolve Surround Mixing Mix Template.
Hey guys, my name's Tom, and if you're new to my channel, you've never checked it out before, just a little background. I have been working on films in audio since 2008. So I'm a power user of Pro Tools, and I've got, I think, over 200 credits on IMDb. So I'm a professional, full-time sound guy is what we call ourselves. And until recently, I've been working in Pro Tools and kind of seeing where the industry's headed and all the awesome content that's being produced for YouTube and non-traditional media platforms. I started to ask myself, could I mix a film in software that's not Pro Tools, specifically in DaVinci Resolve, or the Fairlight tab of Resolve? So I think I've answered that question, and I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. I'll show you what I've been working on for the past couple of months. So like I said, I'm a Pro Tools user. I've been using Pro Tools for longer than probably some of you have been alive. And, Fairlight is kind of a more recent addition to the DaVinci ecosystem as their digital audio workstation side of what's really becoming a production environment or post-production environment. You can do color grading, you can do editing, you can do delivery all from within DaVinci, and being that there's a free version too, like that's what I'm using. I'm using the free version, but a lot of people have DaVinci Studio and they pay the one-time fee for that. So good job, Blackmagic, for making it a one-time instead of a recurring monthly Adobe payment type of thing. But I really think you can mix something awesome in DaVinci. So what I have here is a mix template with, you're gonna laugh. Well, you'll either laugh because it's so low or because you feel like it's so high. So I've got 138 tracks, including my spacer tracks in here. And while that seems like a lot, on a Hollywood feature film, that is like nothing. That might just be the dialogue tracks. So I know it seems like a lot of tracks, but there's a reason for having a high track count when you're mixing, and that's for organizing your tracks, making sure everything is consistent and that like stuff is where it needs to be so you can grab it quickly during a mix. So let's start looking at this template kind of from the top down. So I've got obviously a bunch of audio tracks, I've got VCAs, I've got buses. Let's just look at kind of what I monitor through. So in Fairlight, if you go here, you can actually select what you're listening to, and you can listen to any of the buses you have set up. And the way you set the buses up in Fairlight is you go here, and you've got bus format, bus assign, so use those. And I can go through that in another video, but I figure just to get you up and running, if you want a template, this is going to be on my website. You can buy it there, and if you want to build your own, have at it. Like that's actually probably the better option because you'll know how to do everything. But here is where you select what you're monitoring. You can even change your monitors, but I'm monitoring the 5.1 mix bus. You could choose to monitor any of the stems, or you could monitor the stereo mix, or I have a web mix. So when you're mixing from multiple formats, meaning this is maybe a short film that I'm going to submit to a festival, but I also want to put it on Vimeo or YouTube, this template will allow you to mix a 5.1, a stereo, have all your stems, including an M&E, but also have a web mix that is around 8 dB hotter with some compression and limiting to just get those kind of theatrical or broadcast levels up to the YouTube, standard of around -16 to -14. So this is all pre-set up for you. You can, like I said, choose what you monitor in the monitor panel here, and so that is kind of where stuff feeds into it. Feeds into this big trunk of the tree that is the mix. And then you've got the little branches of the tree, the main branches, which would be like your dialogue, your music, your sound effects that feed into that mix. So those stems are all set up. And then I have separated the sections with these XXX tracks that are disabled. So they're like little kind of placeholders that are just basically holding groups of tracks in a section so that when you're scrolling up and down, you see this light gray and it's like, oh, there's the backgrounds. Here's the effects. Here's the Foley. Here's the music. Here's the dialogue. So that's kind of how things are laid out. As far as the dialogue tracks, let's go through those really fast. So we've got, you can see I've got the index over here, so we can scroll through there and kind of see that. And then you can always change the size on your tracks to make them bigger or smaller, so you can actually see, you know, the content a little bit easier. But I'm trying to keep it tiny here so we can see everything. So in the dialogue group here, we've got boom and 2 lavs. You can swap these around, like you can move lav 3 up here. Maybe you've got shots with, you know, like 3 or 4 characters, so you might need to move these lav tracks up. But this is the kind of the way I like to cut. I like to have the booms on top and then all the lavs for that shot on bottom. And then I might do kind of a similar thing, and I like to checkerboard shot. So I've got videos on dialogue editing you can check out for how to checkerboard. But, you know, some projects have a lower track count. It might just be 2 lavs, like 2 characters, especially really low budget indie stuff. They don't have ensemble casts. So feel free to align these with your own workflow. Maybe you want all the booms on top and you want to name the lavs, the character tracks. That's an awesome workflow to get into. It gets a little bit tricky when you have a feature film with a bunch of scenes, but if it's a short film, by all means do that. We have 2 X tracks here that are muted. X tracks I like to use for material that I may not need, but there's a chance I might need it. So if I'm swapping things out with alts, or I find an alt and I'm not sure if I'm going to use it, or maybe I process something and I'm not sure if I processed it too much, I'll always have the original on the X tracks. You can always make more of these. I just did 2 because I figured a lot of people who are doing posts themselves in Fairlight might not even know what an X track is for. So there's just 2 there and they're muted. So you put stuff on here you don't want to hear. We've got 2 FUTS tracks. This is for like phone calls, radio voices, maybe a TV program that's in the background. Use those for that. We've got 4 ADR tracks. I like to rename these character names. So like Josh ADR, Kyle ADR, Tom ADR, whatever. I have got 6 design tracks. These are, you know, if you have vocal elements that are processed with like reverb or stereo delay or anything like that, or like you can also print your reverbs and put them on these tracks and then you can move it around. So you might not need these tracks, but I just figured I'd include them just in case. Under those, we've got PFX tracks. I like to keep the PFX with the dialogue tracks, but route them to the sound effects stem. So PFX are production effects. These are sounds that you've pulled out of the dialogue. Doors, cars, impacts, falls, footsteps, anything that's free and clear of dialogue, meaning no spoken dialogue over it, you can cut onto your PFX tracks so that your M&E, when you print that, your music and effects track, has more stuff in it. It's going to have more of the actors' movements and more of the good production sound you can save. So those are there, and that kind of rounds out the dialogue section. Up next, we have the music section. And this is assuming you will not have some crappy stereo needle drops from Soundstripe or YouTube Creator Library. This is assuming you've got a composer. Hopefully it's not an AI composer, like a real human being making you music. Have them send you stems, 2 sets of 8 stems or 6 stems, whatever. I like 8, it's a nice round number. So I've got it separated into A, B, and C. And the C would be like, if they add a cue or you have source music, needle drops, that kind of stuff, you can use the C tracks for that. Generally, you can get by with just A and B for score. So put 8 stems on A, put 8 stems on B, have them checkerboarded so that you can transition smoothly between them. You could even add some VCAs for this. I tried not to add a crazy amount of VCAs because it can get really complicated really fast. So the music section is very, very simple. Next, we've got a Foley section. We've got 1 cloth track, 4 footsteps tracks, 4 prop tracks, and a hand track. Super low budget stuff, you probably won't have Foley. So let's just be honest, you're not gonna have it. But medium low budget, or maybe you're willing to just go all in and bleed for this project and record the Foley yourself, I applaud that. I've done that on friends' projects, and it can be really fun doing Foley. So if you have footsteps, you have cloth, you have prop tracks and hand tracks, put those here because it's just nice to have everything organized. So then we've got another one of these divider tracks here for sound effects. And this is where stuff gets a little bit bigger. There's more tracks. Instead of just having FX 1 through 30 or 1 through 10 or 1 through whatever, I really like separating sound effects when I'm editing into food groups. We call them food groups. I don't know why, but we do. So for example, I might have all the cars on A, and I might have all the punches on B, and I might have creatures on C and design on D. I like to kind of use the letters like D for design, C for creatures, or C for cars. I don't know why B for punches, body maybe, and then A can be for doors. Like every project is different. I don't know what's going into your film or video. So these are just kind of general use, but mentally try to separate out when you're editing the sound effects, like is this an A or a B sound effect or a C? And try to keep it consistent, because there's always the chance the director or producer will say, I don't like any of the doors you have in this. Change all the doors. Or the punches all sound kind of bleh. Try different punches. Or the good guy car sounds great, but the bad guy car, I want to try something with a V8 in it. If you mentally compartmentalize the sound effects into folders, which is what these kind of are, and always consistently use the same tracks for the same sounds, the mix is going to go faster. Any sound editing notes are going to be easier to address. And even though it's more tracks overall, you can kind of like wrap your brain around where stuff is a lot easier if it's consistent and it's laid out. Here at the bottom, I have 4 mono tracks on the E. I like to use those for ringtones, technology, anything that might be futzed or like, kind of electronic type sounds. E for electronic, that's kind of why I do that. And then we've got a divider here for backgrounds. We've got A backgrounds, we've got 4 mono, 8 stereo, 4 mono, and 8 stereo for the B. So A and B, you checkerboard scene to scene. So interior apartment is A, exterior apartment is B. Next scene, it's a cafe, that's A. Next scene, it's the DMV, that's B. So you just go back and forth. And you can then also find where the scene start and ends are for each scene, because you can just look at the checkerboards for that. So those are the background tracks. All the busing I kind of glossed over, but we've got 5.1 buses, stereo down mix buses, including M&E, and a mix web, mix 2.0 web bus for the mix. We also have mono, stereo, and 5.1 reverbs for dialogue, music, and sound effects. So you've got reverb sends on your tracks here. You can see I've got bus sends for all these, and it'll be the same for each group of tracks, but it's a different send. For example, the PFX are going to the sound effects stem, so they're going to the sound effects reverb. Similarly for the music, they're going to the music reverb, which goes to the music stem. And then all the effects have the same thing, but for the sound effects stem. So you can go crazy with this and add more reverbs, but one of the downsides to working in Fairlight is I have a pretty stout computer. It's a Mac Studio it was like the second most powerful processor, and it's less than 6 months old. And once I created this template, it's slowed down a little bit. So I know if you had like a feature film and you had 90 minutes of material on the timeline, you're probably going to get some beach balling trying to mix in the box. If that happens, break your project into reels. Reels are shorter sections of a longer project. It goes back to the film days when a reel of 35 could only hold so many feet of film. And so the cap was, I think, like 21 or 22 minutes per reel. Just try to keep it under 20 minutes if you can. You can go up to 21 if you have to, but 20-minute chunks of your film is going to save your computer. It's also, it's kind of like the old school way of working. It gives you a mental break between 20-minute chunks. I prefer working in reels, but I know a lot of people, especially newer people, they don't really like that. So I told myself I wasn't going to go all Billy Mays on a real heavy sales pitch, but wait, there's more. If you check out this top divider track that says XXX dia/tone, why would it say tone? Well, as you know, if you're a professional, your project starts at hour 1. This is where it needs to start, right here, 01000000. Maybe if it's a film, your countdown starts here and you have a 2-pop at 6 seconds, and then picture first frame of action is 8 seconds. But generally, for most stuff, if there's a countdown at all, it's at 59:58 is your 2-pop. If you don't know what I'm talking about, totally fine. Don't worry about it. But on this track, there is, if you zoom way in at 0, where your project should definitely not start, is a -20 dBFS DMU pink noise. This file is used by me and a lot of other re-recording mixers to calibrate studios, home studios, and I've used it to also verify sound pressure levels at cinemas and dub stages. So this is just a great kind of Swiss Army knife to use for calibrating a 5.1 or stereo monitor setup. To listen to this file, you're going to have to right click, you're going to have to enable the track. You can see I've got it panned out. It's just coming out of the center right now, but I do have it set to the LFE. For whatever reason, DaVinci Resolve Fairlight calls it a boom. Maybe that's a British thing. That's off, but it's set to pre-fader level. So all that to say, I'm going to play this and it's going to sound like a bunch of noise because that's exactly what it is. So yeah, you would play that out your monitor. Let me see, where's my calibrator? There he is. Okay, you're going to need one of these, or you can use your phone if you have a phone. You probably have a phone. There's some SPL meter measurement tools for both Android and Apple. I like the Radio Shack SPL meter. Set this to slow response, C weighted, and play this pink noise file out of each of your speakers and turn the volume or gain up on each speaker until it reads 82 dB on your meter. Do that for each. Left, right, center, left surround, right surround. LFE you'll want to do plus 10 dB, so it's actually going to read about 92, but that might not sound great for your room. And to play it out of just the LFE, you'll actually have to mute this track. So mute it. You'll mute it like this, click mute, and then play it, and it should play out of, if you turn this on, your subwoofer. And it's not. Oh, that's right. So this is an interesting thing about Fairlight. So pre-fader doesn't work if it's muted. So you'll actually have to unmute it, and you'll have to turn the fader level all the way down for this to work. There we go. It's actually shaking stuff on my walls. So just keep that in mind to calibrate your subwoofer. Fader all the way down on your tone. Make sure this boom is turned on. So I'm going to mute it and I'm going to disable it because that will scare the crap out of somebody. Okay, so I think we've gone through pretty much everything I need to on this template. Like I said, you can monitor the 5.1, you can monitor any of the stems, you can monitor your M and E, your stereo mix, or your stereo web mix, which is going to be quite a bit louder. So if you're just mixing for web, I suggest listening to the web mix. If you're mostly concerned about how this is going to sound in a film festival or in a home theater, listen to the 5.1 mix. And if you're doing broadcast stereo for some reason, maybe it's like public broadcasting channel that only wants stereo, listen to the 2.0 mix. As far as how to actually mix, this video has gone on plenty long enough, so I have dove into dialogue mixing in Resolve, and I will continue to follow each path, you know, sound effects and music, and then a final mix in this template. So if you want to follow along, you can grab this template. If not, build your own template. You can follow along. I'm going to go through every step of doing a proper mix inside DaVinci Resolve, which is very exciting to me coming from Pro Tools for, you know, gosh, it's been so long, I feel so old. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos, every comment, every channel member that's joined. I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I mean, especially when work has been slow, it's been really nice to be able to share some of the stuff I've picked up over the years with people who check out videos on my channel. So if you are interested in this template and you want to pick it up on my website, there's going to be a link in the description. If not, and you want to build your own template, which to me is the much better route to go down, is building something from scratch. If you have any questions about routing or how to do something, just drop a comment on this video. I'm also super open to video suggestions. So if there's a specific thing, whether it's DaVinci or Pro Tools or Boom Operate, like anything audio and film related, just give me ideas for video content because really that fuels the type of content that I create. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Hopefully this has helped, and I'll see you on the next video. Till then, take care.